on Alabama Tonight.
There's a new man in charge. We find out more on Bill Battle, including how much he will get paid to be Alabama's athletic director. Plus, what's it like to be a walk-on for Nick Saban? Our guest, Ben Howell, will tell us just that. And start your engines. We prepare for the Indy season with reigning IZOD IndyCar Series champion Ryan Hunter-Reay. That and more right now on Alabama Tonight.
From Alabama's 13, this is Alabama Tonight.
Hello and welcome to the Friday edition of Alabama Tonight. I'm Kyle Berger. Don Haas still off, relaxing on the beach somewhere, missing this rainy weather. We want you to get involved with the show. Grab your smartphone, iPad, or computer and find us on Facebook and Twitter right now. Search Alabama Tonight. Tweet us about this week's matchups or the show or whatever else is on your mind. Just use the hashtag ALA Tonight. Well, it's official. Bill Battle is new Alabama's athletic director. The school made it official this morning. Battle signed a 4-year contract with a $620,000 salary. Auburn's AD, Jay Jacobs, makes $615,000. Meredith Armstrong has more on the change at Alabama in our BamaChannel.com update.
Composed and candid, Bill Battle described his reluctancy to accept the position as the University of Alabama's athletics director. But despite the initial doubts, Battle says he would have regretted it for the rest of his life if he had not accepted the job. The former Alabama football player says his time on the field will help in his new role.
Well, hopefully I've learned something in these last however many years it is that will have some effect and that I can pass along or at least encourage, and that it will be beneficial.
During his prepared remarks, Battle mentioned his visit to see Mal Moore in the hospital to talk about the job offer in person. Although Moore's resignation, Battle's recommendation, and appointment all happened within 72 hours, the new athletic director says he's been considering the position here at the university for the past 2 weeks. The 71-year-old believes his age may be a positive thing in the AD position.
You know, God takes away the attributes of youth, but he gives us old people some wisdom, and hopefully I have some of that.
The UA coaching staff didn't waste time integrating Battle into some of the traditions Mal Moore maintained.
I'd like for you to come to practice today. It's against NCAA rules for you to coach.
I can't figure out today's stuff, but don't suit me up.
You know, Mal always loved coming to practice.
With his wife by his side, the new athletics director says he's ready to invest the time to learn how to continue a winning legacy at his alma mater. In Tuscaloosa, Meredith Armstrong, Alabama Tonight.
Thank you, Meredith. Nick Saban invited Bill Battle out to spring practice today. It's the Tide's last practice before taking the week off for spring break. The Alabama defensive backs have a new coach this spring after Jeremy Pruitt left to become the defensive coordinator at Florida State. The secondary is now under the direction of Greg Brown. The players say the transition has been a smooth one.
Coach Brown is doing a very good job with us. Yeah, he's learning the system as well. But each and every day, like I said, everyone is out there to get better, and he's doing that as well.
It's a smooth transition with him because he know how to explain with players. He know how to come at them the right way, so it's been going real good.
Well, joining me now, Ben Howell, a walk-on for Coach Saban. Thank you very much for taking the time out.
I appreciate you having me.
You grew up not too far from Tuscaloosa. Playing for the Tide, was that a lifelong dream of yours?
I wouldn't say completely lifelong. I actually started out as an Auburn fan. My dad's side of the family, all Auburn fans, but my mom's side of the family, all Alabama fans. So when I was about 8 or 9 years old, she started taking me to Alabama games, and I had to change sides. So.
Now, it was Gordo, Alabama?
Gordo, Alabama, that's correct.
You were a running back?
That is
high school
correct.
As well. Now, did you have any other football offers?
No. Birmingham Southern looked at me some, but they didn't have any athletic scholarships. So other than that, I really wasn't recruited out of high school at all.
So you decided to walk on. Talk about the process of walking on with Coach Saban.
One thing that like you said, I always wanted to play for Alabama. I went to a junior day in 2008. So I went there and I talked to Coach Pendry, Joe Pendry, who was the offensive line coach there, and he recruited our area. And I talked to him and I said, I really want to play for Alabama. Is there any chance of being an invited walk-on? He said, yeah, there's some chances, and we'll just, have to see after the season what all opens up. And after the season, after their Sugar Bowl loss to Utah that year, he called me a few days after that and said, hey, Ben, we want to see if you still want to walk on. I was like, yeah, I definitely want to walk on. And he said, you know, since you're an invited walk-on, you'll have a chance to come in the summer and work out with the team. And I was like, yeah, for sure, I definitely want to do that. And so I graduated in May, and I started school at Alabama in June of 2009. And two of the hardest months of my life, for sure.
I bet, yeah.
Really, you know, a lot of running, a lot of working out, obviously. Really tough. But I think that's what made us so good, was the tough regimen that Coach Saban had in.
Now, as a walk-on, did you have any much conversation with Coach Saban, like taking to the office? Is there anything that stands out, any conversations one-on-one with Saban, or yelling at you or anything like that?
At first, I didn't really talk to him too much. You know, he obviously was talking with the stars and stuff more than me. But, you know, after the year, he would let, you know, whoever wanted to have a meeting with him. And, you know, at first, it was, you know, I would go in there and he would tell me, you know, I'd ask him basically, where can I improve and stuff like that. And he would tell me, you know, what he thought of me, how I was doing and stuff like that. And, you know, I'd always have that meeting with him every year. And one thing, Coach Burns, who was my running backs coach, he told me after I got done not too long ago, he said, you know, Ben, when you first got here, Coach Saban probably didn't even know who you were. But now that you're done, he is definitely a Ben Howell fan. So that made me feel really special. And I know that's not exactly a conversation with Coach Saban, but that's probably the one thing I'll remember about that. So.
Well, you know, you were at running back, so you played behind Mark Ingram, Heisman Trophy winner, Trent Richardson, he's a Heisman finalist. Did you ever think about just calling it quits because you got these guys ahead of you and didn't get much chance to get on the field?
I definitely did. There was definitely a few times I was like, you know, this is tough, really tough. A lot of times, you know, especially in spring practice, I'd feel like I was getting ahead, and then another number one recruiting class would come in, and it was like back to the bottom, and it was really tough. And there were times where I was like, you know, is this really worth it? But you know, I felt like God gave me the opportunity to be on this team, and I wasn't going to waste that opportunity and just quit halfway through. And I wanted to, you know, play all 4 years, be on the team all 4 years, and finish. You know, that's our number one word at Alabama is finish, so I definitely wanted to finish.
Yeah, we saw some highlights of you there, looking pretty good against Arkansas. Now, you have 3 national championship rings. What do you do with these things?
I wear them every once in a while. This year's actually haven't come in yet, so I'm pretty excited to see what, or excuse me, last year's haven't come in yet from the Notre Dame season. Haven't come in yet, so I'm excited to see what they look like. But I'll wear them every now and then. Interviews, you know, if I'm dressed up nice, it's always good to bring into an interview. So.
Yeah, I bet. Now, tell us about what you're doing now. I understand you're doing some stuff with the local church.
Yeah, I'm a Bible study leader at Calvary Baptist Church, which is actually right beside the stadium. One thing, you know, this year we always have a leadership team. It's the first year I've been able to be a part of that team because, you know, football was always really hard to, you know, commit to that school and to be a leader in the church. You know, I was always an active part of the church, but to be a leader in the church. And, you know, this year we've really focused on, you know, making disciples. You know, we say that a lot in the church. That's kind of a buzzword in the church. But, you know, we really got down deep to, you know, teaching other people how to follow Jesus, teaching other people how to pray, how to, you know, read your Bible, how to interpret the scriptures, and just, you know, how to listen to God, things like that, to get really, you know, particular and stuff like that. So, and sharing your experiences one with another, and, you know, small group type settings, not just a broad type thing. So it's been really good for me. I feel like I've learned a lot more teaching, you know, other young men than, you know, from teaching them, I've learned more instead of me teaching them. So, right. If that makes any sense.
Right, well, hey, thank you so much for your time, doing good things on and off the field.
Thank you very much.
Ben Howell from Walk On with Nick Saban. Thank you. Well, it's now time for our AuburnChannel.com update. The Tigers will start spring practice next Wednesday. No secret, Auburn's defense struggled most of all last year, but now there's a change. The Tigers defenders say they're ready to see coaching changes on the field.
I think for me speaking for the defensive line and the offensive line, when the pads come on, it's more exciting. You know what I mean? So the first couple of days, the shorts, the helmet, is just like.
Yeah, focusing more on detail. We're taking a more approach to winning, you know, and that's the expectation. You know, even with first-year coaches, that really don't matter. We're trying to win.
From day one, the coaches have brought, you know, intense, you know, face on this program, and I feel like, you know, that just carries us into the players. So I feel like we're definitely buying in.
Well, the Miles Golden Bears wrapped up their spring football season last night. The Bears have to find a replacement for their second-team all-conference quarterback David Thomas. Head coach Reginald Ruffin is also working on just getting his team better.
Just wanted them to learn the system and get acclimated to what we do here program-wise. And we saw some good things and we saw some bad things. It's spring ball. But the biggest thing was got to make sure that each and every day that we're getting better. They're getting better, getting ready for this upcoming season. And I think from overall, watching them, I think they are grasping everything.
Still ahead, Alabama continues to fight to keep postseason alive. Hear from Anthony Grant as the Tide prepares to host Stanford in the second round of the NIT. Plus, the Indy racing season kicks off this weekend. We talk with reigning IZOD IndyCar Series champion Ryan Hunter-Reay about this season and racing the Hyundai Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. You're watching Alabama Tonight.
Today's top story on BamaChannel.com is sponsored by Alpha Insurance. Today's top story on AuburnChannel.com is sponsored by Alpha Insurance.
And welcome back into Alabama Tonight. We now know the who, the what, when, and where for Auburn's next WNIT game. On Sunday, Auburn will take on Western Kentucky in the second round. Tip-off is set for 2 at Auburn Arena. If the Tigers get past the Hilltoppers, they will face either Arkansas or Tulane in the third round. Alabama will host Stanford tomorrow at 11 a.m. in the second round of the NIT. They'll be down a player. Andrew Steele had surgery Wednesday for an ankle injury. The fifth-year guard hasn't played in the last 4 games because of this injury. For Anthony Grant and the rest of the team, this week has been about focusing on Stanford and advancing to the next round.
Having a chance to watch them on film, extremely skilled team and a team that has a lot of veteran players on it, very talented team, very well-coached team. So it'll be a challenge for our guys, as always, anytime you get in these tournaments to face an unfamiliar opponent.
Well, it's hard to believe the IndyCar season kicks off this weekend with the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Then the drivers will roll into town for the Honda Grand Prix of Alabama. I had a chance to talk with reigning IZOD IndyCar Series champion Ryan Hunter-Reay this week. He says winning at Barber Motorsports Park this season is something he's ready to do. The Indy racing season kicks off this weekend with the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Joining us now, the reigning IZOD IndyCar Series champion, Ryan Hunter-Reay. Ryan, first of all, thanks for the time today. Looks like you got some nice weather down there.
Yeah, sunny South Florida. We're happy to be here. Happy to be kicking off the 2013 IndyCar season. So it's beautiful weather, as you can see. I'm a Florida boy. That's why I have like a fleece on. It's 65 degrees, and I need a little bit of protection.
Well, right off the top, do you feel the pressure of repeating as IndyCar champion this year?
Pressure only naturally. I mean, it comes natural with having that number 1 on the side of the car. It's a good pressure. We use that as a constant reminder of how hard we have to work, and I think this team's up for it. We're going to have a hard time this year holding off guys like Dario Franchitti, Scott Dixon, Will Power. But that's how it is every year too. We had a good year last year. We're willing to work harder and make things happen this year. So looking forward to it.
And there is one guy you mentioned that will be gunning for you, Will Power. 3 straight years for him. He's been 2nd overall. Now, what's Will Power going to have to do to beat you this year?
Well, it only came down to 3 or 4 points at Fontana, so there's no real clear roadmap to winning the championship. You have to be consistent. You have to be a title threat the entire season. You have to be up front winning races, and I think diverse is big too. You have to be able to win on road, street, oval, short oval, super speedway, you name it. I know one thing for sure, this Andretti Autosport team, and especially myself and the number 1 DHL Chevrolet, we'd like to win Barber. That's been a tough one for us in the past, and that's been a good one for Will, so we'd like to turn the table there.
And you'll be at Barber in 2 weeks here in Birmingham. What are some of the challenges Barber presents?
Barber's difficult in many ways. First of all, just the layout of the track is extremely challenging. It invites you in on corner entry, and if you get greedy and take just a little bit too much, you can't get out of the corner as well. And it's a constant ebb and flow. It's a rhythm track. It's very technical. And as a run goes on, the Firestone tires fall off just right, just as they designed them to for the racing. And it is tricky. You have to get that setup perfect to really succeed at Barber. That's what the Penske team's done very well there. So we need to do some work. We had a good test there just a couple weeks ago, or actually was that last week, man. And we had a good test there. So we're pretty optimistic about how we'll roll off the truck.
Now, while you're in the IndyCar, especially at Barber, is it more of a mental or a physical thing while you're racing?
Oh, it's both. I mean, racing's a very mental sport, but Barber is by far the most physical track that we have due to the G-forces that we sustain in the middle of the corners there. When we were back there testing just a week ago, we were 4 seconds quicker, 3.5 seconds quicker than we were the year before in qualifying at the race. So things are getting faster, the tires are improving, the track's improving, and all that means is more G-forces, more minimum speed through the corner. I think the fans will really like it too.
Now, you have more race wins than any other American driver that's currently competing, but there's a 2-year stretch. Starting in 2006, you went in kind of a drought. You didn't have work in IndyCar, no wins. Did you ever lose your confidence in your ability at that time?
Yeah, without a job, I certainly questioned the reality of the situation, you know, and how it can pan out. I mean, at times I was like, hey, maybe I need to, you know, work on something else in life, and you get that a little bit. Even though I was still working to drive anything, you know, I tested a little bit for GM in the Busch, in the NASCAR series there at Busch at the time, and tested, did some GT3 racing in Grand Am. I kept myself in front of the right people at the right time, got the break I needed to get back into IndyCar, and never turn back.
All right, Ryan, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Good luck this weekend, and enjoy that weather down there.
All right, will do. Thanks. Look forward to seeing you guys.
The SEC Gymnastics Championship gets underway tomorrow in Little Rock. We'll check in with Alabama head coach Sarah Patterson to find out which team could be a challenge for the Tide. You're watching Alabama Tonight. And welcome back to Alabama Tonight. Alabama and Auburn are on their way to compete in the SEC Gymnastics Tournament. It's being held this weekend in Little Rock, Arkansas. 8 SEC teams are competing in the match. Auburn will kick off things tomorrow at 2. Then at 6, Alabama takes the floor. The reigning national champions know a win this weekend could have them on track for a repeat.
I think on this particular night, those 4 teams there, any one of those 4 teams could win on a given night. LSU has beat Florida. We have beat LSU. Georgia beat us. So you can run the scenario around any way you want to. It's who's the best on that given night.
Well, we're in store for some nasty, severe weather the next 24 hours. Let's get a check of the forecast with Jerry Tracy. Jerry.
And Kyle, not really that nice out there this evening either. It's nothing severe, certainly, but we do find a band of rain running from Pelham and Alabaster on northwest up the Bull City and western sections of Jefferson County. That's a factor this evening, so you'll need your umbrellas if you're going to be outdoors. The rain has let up over the eastern part of the area, including around Talladega, but some more rain will come in later. All of us in for soaking rain late tonight. We'll watch these bands move very quickly across the area this evening, and then we'll watch a storm form from this moisture out here over the Central Plains states. That's going to come eastward. It could mean a few thunderstorms tomorrow, and then a threat of severe weather tomorrow night, like shown here, all the counties in yellow, probably the highest threat in the shaded area from Tuscaloosa on southward. We'll have much more coming up in a few minutes. Kyle will be back with the rest of Alabama Tonight.
Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Monday, on the show, we'll look ahead to Birmingham Southern, UAB, and Auburn as they prepare for spring practice. Plus, we talk with former Auburn basketball standout Damian Fishback. That and more next week on Alabama Tonight. That's at 6:30. Have a good night.